What is up, lovely researchers? It's Kevin. Welcome back to another video, and today we're going to do a little practice with data. As badass researchers, it is paramount for us to be rigorous with our methods and interpretation of the data. We can't half-ass our work, because like all things in life, what you put in is what you get out. Alright? And a crappy output in our line of work means a bad product or service, and you lose trust and cred with your team. However, sometimes you might end up getting a ton of great data, but data is just data. Data, it means nothing unless you interpret it, because that's what we do with data. So if your interpretation of data is bad, then great data means nothing. That goes for both quantitative and qualitative data.
Now, most people put more emphasis on quantitative data because having numbers is great. Or is it? Did you know 99% of people who drink water die within 100 years? Now, if this were true, I would conclude that drinking water kills you. Does that mean I should go out and tell the world to stop drinking water? Now, obviously we know better. Water doesn't kill us. Parachutes do. Now, let me explain. The Harvard Medical School conducted a study where 20-some participants were asked to jump out of a plane. Pretty exhilarating, except half of the participants had parachutes, the other half did not. Who would be crazy enough to participate in this study? Except that they found everybody survived without injury. The conclusion? Parachutes don't work. Now, if you are as confused as I am reading this clickbaity headline, you're probably thinking of a scenario kind of like this one. Same. Until I saw this picture. Ah, that makes more sense now. Read the article. There are some lessons in there to be learned about inferential flaws and reporting research. Check it out. Here's another one. I was watching Adam Ruins Everything. It's a TV show on, I think, True TV or Netflix. Anyway, it's a really fun and informative show where it cites peer-reviewed work and basically talks about the misconceptions about our daily lives. Except this time, Adam, I'm gonna have to ruin one of your pieces of data.
People used to read books. No one reads books anymore.
That old cliche is completely false. More Americans read books today than did in the 1950s.
In this chart by The Atlantic, it shows the percentage of Americans currently reading a book. Over time, it seems to have increased drastically. I'm surprised that many people even know what a book is.
Now, let me ask you this. What's wrong with this data? Yes, I know it's a leading question, but what's wrong with it? Comment down below.
Do you really think book reading has gone up 300% in the past 70 years? Maybe people who pose with books for Instagram. Just kidding. Here's why I think the data are flawed. Firstly, let's think about the timeline here. 1952 versus 2005. What's the biggest difference here? The internet. I looked deeper into this study. It's done by the Gallup polls. They did the survey by phone interviews, so I can't hark on them using an online method. Second, why the big gap between 1957 and 1990? What happened between those years? Maybe it could have gone up and then back down, back up, back down. I don't know. They didn't show this data. Third, how do you define a book? Is a 10-page ebook a book? They shouldn't be asking about only books, but instead poll readers on genre, length, and format. The polls treat comic books, novels, and ebooks as identical content, while at the same time ignoring websites, short stories, magazines, articles, etc. Number 4, how do you define currently reading a book? I started some books months ago but never finished, but I intend to.
Also, they conducted the polls across 3 days in May of 2005. So who knows, maybe the earlier studies were conducted at different times of the year. Maybe in the summer people don't read as much, or even more, I don't know. What could have been different? And lastly, the population of the US is around 300 million. Their sample size was 1,000. By no means is it a small sample, but how many people could be reading that they didn't capture? And what areas of the country did they miss?
So why am I showing you these examples? Because as the voices of our users, as researchers, as consumers of research, we have to be mindful of those moments of correlation versus causation, selection bias, inferential flaws, etc. We want to be able to critique data in a way that's constructive and make sure we're doing rigorous research. We don't have to be dicks about it, but we want to make sure we know how the data was collected, what's the purpose, what we could and couldn't do with it. And it goes back to the scope and the goals of your research. So let's help each other be better researchers. So that's it. Thanks for watching. The next time you see data, think of this video. Announcement, I also started a Facebook group called Zero to UX. So please go and join the group. My hope for it is to have a community where we can share tips with each other, help each other out, share stories, the wins, the losses, everything, and to commiserate on what it's like to be a UX researcher. If you like this video, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe. I make all things UX research related to help you become the most badass UX leader. Mad love. Peace!